Hey man, let's talk about something most men don't realize until it's too late. Taking a woman too seriously is one of the fastest ways to lose your peace, your focus, and even your sense of self. Not because she's bad, but because her emotions were never meant to be your compass. The more you revolve around how she feels, the more you forget who you are. And once she senses you've made her the center of your emotional gravity, she'll lose the very attraction that drew her to you in the first place. Taking her seriously means you start attaching meaning to every word, every tone, every mood swing. When she's distant, you think she's done. When she's affectionate, you think everything's fixed. But women live in emotional seasons, not straight lines. Her affection, her silence, her warmth, they're not permanent states. They're reflections of what she's feeling right now, and if you don't understand that, you'll keep overreacting to a storm that was never about you. You have to understand, emotion to a woman is like breathing. It rises, falls, expands, and contracts. One moment she's close, the next she's detached. But when you take every emotional fluctuation personally, you hand her the keys to your inner peace. You make her the weather system of your life, and no man can lead when he's constantly trying to read the clouds. Most men take women seriously because they confuse emotional depth with emotional truth, but they're not the same. A woman can cry over you today and ghost you tomorrow. She can tell you she loves you and still flirt with someone else for attention. That doesn't make her evil, it makes her emotional. She feels deeply in moments, but moments don't always mean permanence. When you start analyzing every word she says, every silence, every delay in reply, you're stepping into emotional slavery. You stop being a man and become a detective in her mood swings. You start living reactively instead of intentionally. And the worst part, she can feel it. She can sense when you've lost yourself trying to figure her out. And the moment she feels your stability slipping, she starts to test you even more. Not out of cruelty, but to see if there's any strength left in you. You see, women test without knowing they're testing. It's instinct. They don't want to destroy your composure, they want to feel it. The more she pushes, the more she wants to see if you'll hold. Because her emotions are like waves, and she's drawn to the man who stands still when everything else moves. That's the paradox. She won't say it, but the less you react, the safer she feels. When you take her too seriously, you make her emotions sacred. You start believing that how she feels is the ultimate truth. But brother, her feelings are often temporary reflections of her inner confusion, her insecurities, her hormones, her fears. They're real, yes, but not always accurate. A man's job isn't to validate every emotion, it's to bring clarity to the chaos. Here's the hard truth. Most women don't even understand their own emotions. They'll say one thing and feel another. They'll act cold to protect themselves, and then resent you for believing it. That's why when you take her words literally, you'll always lose. You're trying to play chess with someone who's playing music. You can't win on logic in an emotional game. The biggest mistake men make is thinking consistency means love. Women are emotional creatures, not logical creatures. What keeps them drawn to you isn't your agreement with them, it's your energy around them. If your energy is stable, she feels grounded. If it's shaky, she'll start playing games. Not because she enjoys them, but because she can't relax around instability. You might think you're showing care by over-analyzing, over-talking, over-chasing, but to her it feels like weakness, because nothing kills attraction faster than a man who reacts to everything she does. When you're serious about her every move, you stop being masculine. You become emotional like her, and now there's no polarity left. Polarity is what keeps attraction alive. Masculine stillness and feminine chaos are meant to balance each other. When you take her seriously, you trade your stillness for her chaos. You start mirroring her instability instead of calming it, and that's when relationships implode, because two emotional people can't lead each other anywhere. Women don't need a man who takes them seriously, they need a man who takes himself seriously. When you know who you are, you don't get lost in her moods. You can love her without letting her emotions control your direction. You can listen to her storm without becoming it. That's real strength, not reacting, but remaining. Every man has a breaking point. That one argument, that one accusation, that one guilt trip that makes him lose composure. But the man who masters his energy doesn't break. He bends, he breathes, but he doesn't lose center. That's what makes a woman fall deeper. Because she realizes, no matter what I do, he doesn't lose himself. When you take her too seriously, you start to become predictable. She knows how to trigger you. She knows which words make you spiral, which gestures make you overthink. But when you're calm, detached, and self-assured, she can't predict you anymore. And unpredictability, for women, equals attraction. It's not that she wants to hurt you, she wants to feel you. She wants to feel your emotional gravity. She wants to know that you're not just strong when it's easy, but strong when it's hard. Because in her mind, your calmness equals safety, and safety equals value. Taking her seriously means you absorb her chaos instead of observing it. But the man who observes wins. Because he understands, not every storm requires a reaction. Sometimes silence is leadership. Sometimes distance is clarity. Sometimes doing nothing is more powerful than saying everything. Women live in narratives. They rewrite reality based on how they feel today. Yesterday's villain becomes today's hero and tomorrow's ghost. If you take her seriously, you'll keep rewriting your piece to fit her mood swings. But when you stand on truth, you realize her emotions are her weather, not your map. Every strong man learns this. Don't correct her emotions. Outgrow them. Let her react. Let her test. Let her question. But never let it move your energy. Because energy is what she's responding to, not logic. You can explain forever, but your calm silence says more than any argument ever could. There's freedom in not taking her seriously. You start laughing at what used to make you anxious. You stop chasing answers and start mastering presence. You stop trying to convince her you're good enough because you finally realize you already were. When you stop taking her too seriously, she starts taking you more seriously. That's the irony. The moment you stop seeking her approval, she starts seeking your attention. Because women are drawn to men who don't need them emotionally. That's the emotional paradox that keeps them hooked. Never forget, your value isn't measured by how much you care. It's measured by how much you can control yourself while caring. Any man can be loving, few can be composed, and it's composure that makes love last. When you detach emotionally, not from love but from validation, you start to become magnetic because your energy no longer screams, "Please like me." It whispers, "I'm fine without you." That quiet confidence shakes her more than any words could. A woman may never tell you this directly, but she respects mystery. When she can't fully predict you, she invests more. She analyzes your silence. She replays your calm. She wonders what you're thinking, and that curiosity is what keeps her emotionally engaged. If you take her too seriously, you lose mystery. You explain too much, reveal too fast, react too emotionally. You strip yourself of depth, because depth isn't about expression, it's about restraint. The man who knows when not to speak always holds more power than the one who needs to be understood. Don't mistake being unbothered for being uncaring. You can love deeply while staying centered. You can feel everything and still be moved by nothing. That's what separates grounded men from reactive ones. Women might test your patience, but they respect your stillness. Remember, emotions are temporary, but how you handle them defines your permanence. She'll forget your words, your gifts, your gestures, but she'll never forget your composure. Because emotional control leaves a permanent mark on her subconscious. Women don't fall for perfect men, they fall for stable men. The ones who can handle the unpredictable without collapsing. The ones who know when to walk away and when to stand still. The ones who don't chase validation because they already found value within. When you stop taking her seriously, life becomes lighter. You stop fighting invisible battles. You stop taking rejection personally. You start realizing that her emotions were never reflections of your worth, just expressions of her mood. You start understanding that real strength isn't in fixing her, it's in not letting her break you. It's in smiling through the test, keeping your tone calm when she's raising hers, walking away when silence says more than another argument. Most men think strength means dominance, but it's actually restraint. The ability to hold your peace when everything in you wants to react. That's what earns silent respect, because deep down, every woman knows control equals power. You'll start to see that most of what she does isn't personal, it's psychological. She's testing, protecting, expressing, all at once. And your role isn't to interpret every move, it's to remain still enough to see through it. Taking her too seriously means internalizing her inconsistency. But women aren't consistent, they're emotional. You can't demand stability from something designed to flow. The ocean doesn't apologize for its waves, so why should a woman? You can't make her stop testing you, but you can stop failing the tests. Every time you react, explain, or argue, you teach her you're easy to unbalance. But every time you stay calm, every time you stay grounded, you teach her she can trust your strength. Eventually, she'll start matching your energy. She'll calm down without you asking. She'll soften without you forcing, because your energy leads her emotions, not the other way around. That's masculine influence. Quiet, steady, invisible, but undeniable. Women don't respect words, they respect patterns. If your peace remains constant through her storms, she begins to realize, I can't control him, but I can trust him. That's when she stops fighting and starts following. Don't try to fix how she feels. Let her feel, because emotions, when left alone, burn out faster than when they're fought. Be her calm, not her chaos. Be the eye of the storm, not the wind that fuels it. You'll learn that silence solves more than arguments ever could. A man who can sit in stillness while she spirals doesn't lose her respect, he earns it. Because she sees your silence as strength, not neglect. The man who doesn't take her too seriously never loses frame. He knows when to engage and when to withdraw. He doesn't argue for validation. He doesn't beg for peace. He is peace. When you stop taking her seriously, she feels it. Not in a bitter way, but in a way that shakes her. Because she realizes the one man she thought she could emotionally control has stepped out of the game entirely. That's when the roles reverse. Suddenly she's analyzing you. She's overthinking your silence. She's wondering if you've moved on, because what once felt predictable now feels mysterious. And mystery is magnetic. The man who doesn't take her every emotion seriously becomes unforgettable. Because he's not another player in her emotional theater, he's the man who refused to act in it. That composure burns into her memory like a lesson she can't unlearn. Soon, you'll stop asking, what does she mean? And start asking, why do I care? That's the moment you've won. Because when you master indifference, you master freedom. She'll call it arrogance. She'll call it coldness. But deep down, she'll call it respect. Because nothing commands more respect from a woman than a man whose emotions she can't shake. Never confuse detachment with disregard. Detachment is self-respect. It's loving her fully while never losing yourself. It's seeing her clearly without losing focus on your own mission. Eventually, she'll come back in some way, not always to reconcile, but to reconnect, to feel your presence again. And when she does, you won't feel the same, because once you've tasted peace, chaos loses its appeal. You'll realize you never wanted to control her. You just wanted to stop being controlled by her emotions. And that's what true freedom feels like. No longer reacting to what used to destroy your peace. Never take her too seriously, brother. Take your purpose seriously. Take your growth seriously. Take your energy seriously. Because the man who leads himself never needs to lead anyone else through force. His energy does it for him. Women follow emotional gravity, and gravity only exists where there's stillness. Be the center, not the storm. Be the calm, not the chaos. That's how you stay respected, desired, and unforgettable. You'll notice, once you stop taking her so seriously, that life feels lighter. You start laughing again. You start sleeping peacefully. You stop walking on emotional eggshells. And that ease, that serenity, is what draws everything good back into your orbit. So trust me when I say this, never take her too seriously. Because the moment you do, you hand her control of your emotions, your reactions, and your peace. But when you remain composed, quietly confident, detached yet caring, firm but kind, you become something rare in this world. And that's the kind of man no woman can ever truly forget.